Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell from the Spark File here to let you know that the doors are open for the Spark File Illume, a 9-month group creativity coaching mastermind that invites you to be the Chief Creative Officer and Chief Marketing Officer of your creativity. But what does that mean? That means in 9 months in Illume, you will clarify and advance your big creative goals and learn how to effectively share your work with the world. Now, if you're listening to this and you're an experienced creative or an accomplished professional who seeks a space where it is safe to attempt something you've never tried before, or complete a big creative project, or take your work to the next level and acquire the skills needed to share your creative work with the world, Illume might be right for you. We are calling in emotionally intelligent, high-functioning creatives who are ready to level up. You can find out more by going to thesparkfile.com/Illume, but do it now to find out if Illume is right for you and to save with early bird discounts. That's thesparkfile.com/Illume. Take a leap, take a risk. Go to thesparkfile.com/Illume and join us for Illume.
The Sparkfile podcast may contain profanity and other adult content.
Please use your discretion.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I want to make or how I want to be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
Welcome to the Spark File, your one-stop winter's ball for creative inspiration.
I'm Laura Camion.
And I'm Susan Blackwell. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. You may be asking yourself, what exactly is a Spark File? Where do I get one? What do I file in it? These are such good questions, and we do have answers.
Mm-hmm. A Spark File is the place where you consistently collect all your inspirations and fascinations. And if you're anything like us and you're making stuff all the time, you know that sometimes the wellspring of inspiration can run a little dry. We're here to refill it.
Yes, we're on the lookout for fresh ideas, images, and inspiration that spark our creativity and pique our curiosity. Things that inspire us to get up off of our asses and make things like this podcast.
Or a complex characterization that brings history and heartbreak to life in front of our very eyes.
Or an educational program that helps students learn how to make their own art and tell their own stories.
Or curriculum that others can continue to explore and learn from in the future.
Or a musical performance that makes our booties bounce and turns our eyeballs into cry balls.
On today's Makersode, we're going to talk to someone who truly sparks us.
And that special someone is Phillipa Soo. Pippa,
welcome
to the Spark File.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for having me.
Real quick,
Thank
the
you.
Spark File price of admission. You have to tell us a creative risk you've taken recently. It could be something that you did it was not perfect, but it was progress, something that made you a little nervous. What you got for us?
Well, I was recently asked, this was maybe back in November, to do a concert, a benefit concert. And I was asked to do I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt.
Oh wait, I went Oklahoma.
No,
I'm
but
just a
this
girl.
would be
No,
Gwen
Gwen
Stefani.
Stefani.
Just a
Yeah.
take
like,
this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Rachel Chafkin was directing this concert, and I was like, yeah, whatever you want me to sing. Yeah, whatever. And
Because you trust Rachel, you've worked with
I've
Rachel
worked
before.
with Rachel before. She directed me in Natasha Pierre.
Correct.
Of 1812.
That's right. Pippa, you're correct. Yes.
My first show in New York. So she knows me very well, and I just assumed she'd be like, yeah, I'll just pick something for you. And she's like, how about this? And I was like, I've never done anything like that. I'm never asked to sing like that or sing in that genre. And I took it by the reins and ran with it. I was so excited. I skipped out onto the stage, and there was a part where like the song sort of like peaks, and I just screamed. I just like screamed like I was like an actual rock star.
What,
And-
screlted,
Not-
belted,
not even,
or
like,
screamed like a
screamed.
person screaming?
Yeah, not like impressive like Broadway skrelting. Like
Right.
I was like, rah, 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 like just screaming.
How'd that feel?
It felt amazing. And yeah, I just thought like I was like terrified about it, and I just thought it was the most freeing thing because I just was like,
that
screw
feels
it.
good.
This actually touches, we'll get to it in a moment, but this actually touches to the center of one of the things I love about you. That person that was standing on that stage at that fancy benefit and everybody was all dressed up with their pearl necklaces on, and you're on that stage skipping and screaming. This is one of the things I love about you.
Pippa Soo, skipping and screaming.
There's your autobiography
Album title,
Skipping and
maybe.
screaming. Honestly, it's a metaphor for my life.
There you go.
I think that you are officially admitted into the Spark File. I think that's a good one. We like to make sounds to signify your entry, but we haven't really
Worked it out.
quite gotten them.
We're gonna work
there
it out
yet.
one day.
We will.
Okay,
We will.
okay, can't wait.
When people walk up to you at a party or a function and they don't know you and they say, "Oh, hi, I'm John. I'm an engineer." What would you say? "I'm Pippa and I'm a what?"
I'm an actor.
You're an actor. That's how you talk about that.
Yeah.
Here's a two-parter. One, how do you identify creatively?
I feel like I'm the type of person who really needs to feel inspired by things outside of me to sort of get started creatively.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have like aha moments or like there's no, like special angel inside of me that's just giving me like wonderful ideas.
All
A
the
muse
ideas.
that's feeding you sparks.
No.
A healthy,
get
regular diet of sparks.
You get
My
fed
sparks come from
outside.
from other people and other things. And,
Meaning pre-existing projects?
sure, like maybe things I've done before, and I sort of like take my experiences on projects and I try and bring those with me. But I think ultimately, like, I think it's broken down into sort of like three different things. One is experiences, whether that's a museum exhibit that I went to go see about something that inspired me and I really wanted to incorporate that into a character, or a book that I read. That
I think this is, you're in good company. There are a lot of
Yeah,
people that
right.
they pull so
they
much
draw from
creative
experiences.
inspiration.
Or
Yeah.
even experiences being like classes, like taking a
Sure.
class, like learning things.
Yeah.
Not even like creative classes, like, a
Yeah.
history class or a
100%.
language class.
Yeah.
Something totally like different.
Yeah.
And then the other part that I find to be very important is space. And I mean that figuratively and literally.
Uh-huh.
That literally like having, a nice, wonderful space to work that I make work for me.
Yeah.
I need that. I'm not just the type of person who can like kind of like work anywhere. Like I feel like I like appreciate like a nice space.
Yeah.
And then space meaning like taking space away from things in order to feel creative. Because I feel like I have a tendency to get really excited about things and then try and do too much, and then it sort of gets muddled. And I was mentioning this to you earlier. I started getting into meditation, and what was amazing about that was that I'm truly able to like step back and allow myself to have space from
Yeah.
my life, from my creative endeavors.
Yes.
Which allows more room for growth, I think. And then the third part is something that I think it goes without saying when you're a creative person, but ritual, creating ritual. So like, everybody, I think most actors would say like they have a way of like how they read their script and how they do all their work. So some people are really into like the Post-it notes and the highlighting, and some people are like, they don't want to like touch their script. They want to leave it blank. They all have a process, but like there's a way that you relate to the thing that you're working with. Or like, a painter has a paintbrush and like they use this very specific paintbrush, and they could buy one that looks exactly like it, but you have ultimately put your energy into it by using it. Like there's
Like a life force.
there's a life force in that thing that you've used. So like that, or a script, or what a microphone or everything that you're using like has like an energy to it that you're putting forth part of yourself into it. And then I think ultimately as a performer, being a creative person and as a performer, there's a ritual in how you rehearse, how you share it. The fact that there's people who come to sit in the dark to watch you feels very ritualistic to me. So I feel like I, as a creative person, enjoy taking in all the aspects of those three things.
Yeah.
The ritual, the space, and the experiences of my life, be it creative or not.
And do you see yourself primarily as a performer or interpretive artist, or also someone who originates work?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to originate a couple roles, and doing new work is very exciting for me.
I also want to add too, you have originated roles, but I also think of you as an originating artist. I was so excited actually when I had this realization with you. You knew this about yourself. It's just that I didn't know it. When you created curriculum, we'll talk about this more, but when you created curriculum for the work that you were doing with Graham Wyndham, and I was like, oh, Pippa's a maker. You're not just an interpretive artist that steps into other people's work that they have created and interprets it. You're also a whole cloth creative artist.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. I thought that was super exciting.
That's great. And part 2 of this question for our listeners, what are the things that you think you are most well known for?
Well, there's this really little, not well-known show at all called Hamilton. I think that's maybe
probably the biggest.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think in general, like not just like, what did I see you in terms, but I think I have a reputation for being in rooms of new works, getting to work on things that have never been spoken before.
Yeah.
I've done countless readings, and I think it lends itself to the fact that I just love those rooms. Like I love rehearsal. Some people hate rehearsal, but I love rehearsal.
Oh, rehearsal's the best.
It's
and
the best.
I think rehearsal of a project that is an absolutely brand new project, that's the best of the best.
Especially like when your voice is valued and can be, heard and incorporated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then you feel like you're genuinely making a contribution to what that thing becomes.
Totally. And to have, to be working on, I've worked on Shakespeare and I've worked on new plays where the playwright is there in the room. And really like nothing beats like having a writer right there with you.
For so many years I've said I either want to be the person making the thing or I want to be sitting next to the person making the thing.
Yes.
I'll take either of those positions.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So speaking of Hamilton, we recently learned that the original cast of Hamilton will be featured in the film of Hamilton that will be released at some point in the future. How fucking stoked are you to star in a movie that you've already completed principal filming on? Pippa Soo.
I know. Done.
Thank you, past Pippa.
I know. I should really thank my past self. I should really give her a pat on the back. It feels amazing. I mean, I actually was very surprised that it was coming out as soon as now. I was
too,
I was
actually.
thinking they would just like, I was like imagining myself like, maybe I had like 3 children in my arms and a dog, and I don't live in New York anymore. I live somewhere else. And they're like, the movie's coming out. And be like, oh my God, way back when my skin was so smooth. But I'm really excited. I'm excited for people to see it.
It's next year, right? Isn't it October 2021?
2021, yeah.
What an amazing legacy to have those performances captured on film. I don't know. We're super excited to get to see it again.
It's going to be beautiful. And how we shot it was very unique to how they usually shoot.
How'd you shoot it?
Well, we had a bunch of different camera positions. We did it over a couple of days.
In front of a live audience?
In front of a live audience, and some days without an audience.
They did special calls, called you in.
Some special
Well, you did
stuff.
like, were those like close-ups or cameras on the stage with you? Like, did they
Steady cams and stuff.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
bunch of a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff, a variety
things
of
you can't do when an
things
audience
like
is
they're
watching?
like, let's take advantage of the fact that we're all here. What do we want to try and
Amazing.
get?
And
I don't-
Tommy Kail was directing all of
Tommy
this.
Kail was directing it. I haven't seen anything, but Tommy seems very pleased. And
Was there a jib? Was there like a sweeping camera shot across the
hope so.
theater?
well, you'll just have to wait and see.
For people who are not in the entertainment industry, there's something called a steady cam where a camera operator has a rig attached to their body, and they almost become, you might see a steady cam operator sometimes if you will like to watch award shows every once in a while, or if you like to watch live singing competitions, you'll see a steady cam operator who just makes it out of the shot. They're usually like running backwards with a giant piece of camera rigging attached to them. Did you have some of that action happening?
Some of that action,
Yeah.
but it was very it was very organized. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
they had a list of things that they wanted to
Sure.
get, and a list of things that we had already gotten, in the performances. But I'm really excited because I feel like some of the film will feel very fresh to me because when I'm on stage and I'm watching everything, like I have a great view, but I'm like watching from behind, and I've seen the show from the front as well.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just like little what's the word? Like very specific textures that
Like nuance.
but it just exists in the fabric of the show with that particular group of people.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's like why theater is amazing. Like you can't see it anywhere else.
That's
except
right.
there
I
in
love
the
that
film.
it's going to be
right.
captured.
But they caught it.
And I love
Yeah.
that because of the nature of close-ups and things like that. Some of those things that group of people, that cast, might only have been aware of, unless you had seats in the front row, others are going to get to experience that. I just love the idea that has been captured in perpetuity, and that your performance and those other great performances are going to live on.
Yeah.
I love it.
wonder, I feel like I know the answer to this, but I wonder if then after this is released, will there be a day where a film version of Hamilton screenplay gets...
I put $20 on yes.
Yeah.
I think yes.
Yeah.
I think yes too, right?
Yeah. I'm sure that
Yeah.
there's many people who
I'll just say the word hairspray to you, and then I'll say yes for Hamilton.
Or like in the Heights. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be great.
yeah.
But I love that this is happening first.
Yeah.
Oh, we're really excited.
Hamilton talk. This has been Hamilton
Hamil
talk.
talk.
With
Got a
Pippa
little
Soo.
Hamil talk.
All right. In an interview with Playbill, you supposedly said,
Allegedly.
I want to know how people do their job so I can do my job better, and maybe one day do another job that's not being an actor. Maybe produce, maybe write. We're all storytellers here. Why not take a leap?
Oh, yeah.
You remember saying
We're
that?
totally here for this. If you actually said it, we're so here for this.
I feel like I probably said that.
Do you have anything specific in mind?
Little maker.
Little dreams, little buds of seeds.
Any little dreams, little dreamer?
Yeah. I think, I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yes.
something good's about to pop out of your face.
I think I'd like to direct.
Yes.
So I think what that quote was in reference to was like working on film versus like TV and film versus theater, and like, do you prefer one?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like I've gotten those questions a lot, and to me, it's
Because you do so much in both. You do film, you do TV,
yes,
and you
I
do
am
theater.
fortunate enough that I get
Yeah.
to do all of those things.
Yeah.
But most recently, I've gotten to have more experience in film and TV, which I didn't have before. And what I learned was being on set, like seeing how everybody is doing their job and how it all works. It was just another reminder that we're all we're coming together with skill sets to achieve a very particular thing, which is to tell this story.
Yeah.
And the stakes are very high, and at the same time, like, we're just telling a story. Like, it's really not. It's not
Not curing cancer.
We're not doing
Not saving
surgery.
France.
Yeah,
We're just telling stories.
we're just telling some stories.
Yeah.
But there is a weight to it, and I think the way that I do my job better is by learning how other people are doing their jobs, so that I can
love that.
ultimately do my job better. So, like, a small example would be when you're in a play, you have a dresser or someone who's on the costume team who helps you get into costume, who sets out your clean clothes every day, comes in early, and also stays late to take all the dirty clothes and then wash it and
So
press
they can
it
dry in
so
time
they
for
can
the next
dry in
show.
time for the next day.
Yeah.
And so, it's a very long, hard schedule for everybody who's working backstage, because the actors actually spend the least amount of time in the theater. We show up half an hour
It's
before.
the same on set.
Right. Same on set. So, like, when I understand how other people's jobs work, I can know, what can I ask for that I need that's within the realm of possibility that would be helpful to me, and I can ask it in a way that would be helpful to them. Because we're all just trying to, like, figure this out. We're all just trying to make a thing.
Yeah.
And we're not doing brain surgery. So, like, let's ask questions. Let's ask for what we need. And if we can't get it, like, let's understand why.
So to extend that example, would it be useful for you, Pippa Soo, to have a conversation with the dresser, to shadow a dresser, to understand what their job is, so that you know what's in the realm of appropriateness and how you can work well together?
I would say so. And I mean, yeah, you could have a conversation. But also I think it's just my observation, just
Yeah.
from what I see.
Just
Like,
smart observation.
yeah, I think that a lot of people, you can get very much caught up in, like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to be doing? And sometimes that can sort of, like, cut you off from understanding, like, how hard this the stage manager is working, or this PA is working on set. Like, they're running around like crazy trying to make sure that, like, you can get where you need to
The
go.
path is cleared for you.
Yeah. And the moment that you can sort of just, like, see that and realize that, you can, like, go from there. If you have a real question, like, something is wrong with my costume and it hasn't gotten fixed, you're like, why hasn't it gotten fixed? Like, I understand maybe I didn't tell you, or maybe there's something that happened where, like, you couldn't fix it because something else happened, but, like, let's talk it out. Like, let's figure it out.
I have talked to actors who, like, spoke about the revelation that they have when they realize, like, I am actually not the center of the universe. And there are people in this room whose work will either make or break my work.
Yeah.
Because, it's really, I could get up and give a great performance, but if the lighting is bad, or the sound is bad, or the editing is bad, I'm not going to be looking so good. And so they had that revelation of, like, oh yeah, this is a real team effort.
Yeah. And there's like an art to being able to know when to be extremely confident and when to sort of, like, take charge and really ask for what you need. And then there's the moment where you have to decide, like, when am I going to hang back and just sort of observe and let this wash over me? And that's a very hard thing to do, because it's such a crazy business, because you're asked to be very humble and just grateful to be there. And at the same time, like, be very confident and find your ego.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So I want to jump back to, I might be interested in a bit of directing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. I think
Theater, film, television. What are we talking about here?
I think it could be either, any of those things.
All of it.
All of it, maybe. I'm just so... I just love watching people work. I feel like there's a certain level of particular guidance strategies that I would be very good at. Because I get people and I read people very well. And at the same time, I don't feel afraid to ask people for more. In terms of not like, give me more, but like asking people to raise
Not
their
like
standards.
a dick. More like a,
Show me the goods.
And there's a way to inspire people.
You're going to be great working with children.
Yeah, right. But yes, you're right. To inspire people, to ask questions. and ultimately just to like take a step back from being in it and sort of getting to like look from the outside. I feel like I always kind of look at it from the outside anyway. And my challenge as an artist is always to sort of like let go of the homework, the quote unquote homework.
That is the magic trick.
Let go of the homework and just sort of like let it fly.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, like some people like really like to put Post-it notes in their script. I found that that's a terrible thing for me to do because then all I think about is like that Post-it note and like how I'm supposed to do that and how it should be like good student.
What was that note on page 4?
Yeah. Like good student. Like my highlighter ran out of ink and I couldn't you know what I mean? Like I just feel like that does not help me because that's where I go to very easily.
Yes. And so where you need to like just gently turn your attention is to letting go and letting go. Rip.
Yes.
Interesting.
So interesting.
Just like in I'm Just a Girl.
We're gonna get back to it because I feel like that's something I've learned from you.
I'm curious to know, like, are you actively thinking about it and putting feelers out? Or
I have
you're
nothing.
Just patiently, it'll come to you.
I'm just like, I know that lives in me, and I know that someday and sometime that will happen. But it's not. There's no like particular thing that I'm focusing on or working on right now.
But it's so great to know that you are a maker and you're also a teacher. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you did with Graham Windham?
Myself and my castmate Morgan Marcel, who is one of the wonderful ensemble dancers in the show, she and I created this program called the Eliza Project.
So this is when you all were
we were
doing
in
Hamilton. Yeah.
Which was really just birthed from, the idea came from going to Graham Windham because I, playing Eliza was very eye-opening into how much history exists about most women in general because there was not a lot out there. And, I read the Hamilton book and of course there's like letters and that's very thorough. I like talked to Ron Chernow, but even he was like, that's what's so mysterious about her is that she burned those letters and we don't know very much. She wanted herself to be removed enough so that she could really shine the light on Hamilton. Like what we know about him today is mostly because of her efforts put towards creating his legacy. And going through his papers and making sure that everything that he did and worked toward was brought to light and given attention.
And yet, are you saying like she also was very conscious of wanting to remove herself from that legacy as much as possible?
I mean, I think you can see it in her gravesite. Like if you go downtown. Oh, there's an alarm going off.
Do you know what it means?
I think it just means it's a test.
It's a super cute alarm, whatever it
really
is.
It's
like
don't
there's
panic.
Cute robots loose inside your house.
Cute robots are attacking us. Anyway, so you can see it when you go down to Trinity Church where Alexander Hamilton is buried. His marker is just extravagant. And hers just says Eliza. And she made sure that the world knew who he was. And for herself, like, that's what she wanted,
Wow.
Or that's what seemed the most appropriate to give her. You know what I mean? Like, that just told me everything. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what, Lynn was like, yeah, this orphanage, the orphanage still exists. It's called Graham Windham. I was like, well, I got to go. I got to go visit. So my husband, Steve, and I went and got to meet some of the young people. Very bright, wonderful people who are up in Hastings-on-Hudson, this wonderful campus. And we were just so amazed at the community there and the leadership there. And I was like, I don't think this is it. Like, I'm not just interested in coming and visiting and then being like, bye.
So I just want to flag this moment. It may have come from an external spark source, but a little spark rose up inside of you, a little creative spark. And that was, I don't think I just want to come for one visit. I think there's something more I want to make here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had experience in college working with students and working with young people who wouldn't necessarily have an artistic outlet to the extent of like what we were exposed to in an art school.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's like try and gather some of these young folks and see if we can come up with like some fun thing for us all to do, which would involve like maybe taking classes, like, cause you know, I feel like when you're young and you're hungry and you just want to know things about the world, like you want somebody to like tell you. And at the same time, you want the autonomy to sort of like do it in your own way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, great. Like, let's like teach some classes, have a structure to it. Like you'll do, like someone will do like a singing class. Someone might do like an improv class. And then I was like, and then let's have like a creative hour where we just sort of like have them create their own work. And it was really fun, and I think like maybe the most rewarding part of anything in that experience was like honestly getting to make a connection with that community, with those young people, and to be able to like do something that I would have never done if I hadn't been in that show.
Yeah,
I love,
incredible.
this is where when you were filling out your survey before this podcast recording, we were taking you through Maida Wagner's 5 creative types. What is the one that drives your creativity? And after some thought, you were like, I think I'm a little bit of a combo platter, but I'm feeling this activist piece. And I think that is what got that little spark lit and floating for you.
Yeah.
Was that I think there's more work to be done here. And it's amazing to hear you say that out of a very rigorous, extraordinary life experience that you had with Hamilton, that's one of the major highlights for you. Was that
Yeah.
where you made the thing.
Yeah.
You made the thing.
You made the thing.
I made the thing, but I have to give due diligence to the things that brought it to me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Of course, you have that platform, and then you're like, the activist part of you is like, what am I going to do with all of this energy and attention and visibility that's coming along with this? I don't want to, you know, if you were a different kind of artist, you might just be like, I'm going to just soak in all the applause. But you're the kind of artist who's like, I want to make something that's of service to other people. I want to make something that makes this world a better place. Like
meaningful.
Yeah, that's meaningful.
And honors the legacy.
Yeah. I just, honestly, I was like, I just want to connect with this community
Yeah.
because we have something in common.
Yeah.
Like, and not even just something, but like a huge thing in common. It's like not a small thing.
I wonder how many of them were aware of Eliza's legacy, Hamilton's legacy. Like, it seems like, you know, after a time, people forget like the origins of the building they're in. How much awareness did they have of that connection?
I definitely feel like the show gave Graham Windham a rebirth in, you know, people's awareness of it.
Sure.
The students that are there, I think were very excited to see the show and hear the songs and hear the orphanage. And they were like, that's us.
Yeah. Can we talk?
That got me.
I mean,
no-
Cam's
it's
is
no
crying.
longer- I know.
It's
But
not
I
a
have
Spark
to-
File podcast.
I
unless
do
Cam's
have
is crying.
to just clarify that it's no longer an orphanage. It's a social service program that works with foster kids and foster families.
Okay.
Love that.
So, but still, that being said, they
Yeah.
were
They
just-
could recognize that was their piece of the story.
Exactly.
Their piece of that. Just a piece of their piece of that legacy.
Yeah.
I've asked you this before off mic, and you answered me, and I was so pleased to know it. And you can tell me to fuck off if you don't want to answer it on mic.
Okay.
But all the ladies are crying. I just want everybody to know, not me, because I'm tough. There's an amazing moment at the conclusion of Hamilton where the character of Eliza, which was played by you, I don't know if you know that.
Who was that girl?
There's this moment where it's almost like there's this aha moment or this like spark moment that Eliza has in this moment. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like right at the very end. What was going through your mind in that moment, or as a performer, or what was the direction you were given?
It was a combo platter, like it always is. Ultimately, it came from this idea that, you know, the telescope of the show at that moment is sort of like moving out and out and out and out. So we've got, you know, Hamilton's story, and then we sort of like push out, and we've got the actors in the play telling the story. So everybody's got their sort of white neutral costume on. And we're pushing out even further to say, yes, like we are telling this story. We are these actors telling this story. But then they reintroduce Eliza, and then time sort of pushes forward very fast in that moment. And so I was like, well, the shape around me is just expanding out. It's expanding outward, like energetically. Like we're going from the story to the stage to these actors telling the story. And so like this sort of aha moment at the end, which is just an inhale.
Just an inhale.
Like technically speaking, all I did was I just look up to the very tippy top back of the audience and I inhaled and then lights out before my exhale. So the last thing you see is Eliza taking this breath, but there's no exhale. Some nights it was different every night. Like why I did that, like technically it was the same, but like from an acting standpoint, the sort of intention is changing every night. So some nights I would look up and I would imagine seeing Alexander like up there, and sometimes I would look up and I would see, you know, everything that we've done, like a life flashing before your eyes, if you will, moment.
Yes.
And some nights I literally just looked out into the audience. And this was what it was most times. I would literally just look out into the audience. I could see the light of the stage reflected on the faces of everybody out there. And I just like looked at people in the eye and made my way all the way up to the top. And my inhale was like an actual inhale of awe at the fact that we all made it here.
Now we're all crying.
No,
Yeah.
I always found that to be I've seen that show so many times, and I'm lucky to have seen it so many times. It is a privilege.
I've seen it so many times.
I mean,
It's a
really.
privilege that I've gotten to see and like sort of study it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that moment was just always so extraordinary. And I just love that you're willing to talk about, as an actor, as an audience member, I just love that you're willing to talk about that. That is, from the outside, what it felt like to me, just me, is, I'm getting very emotional right now, is the character that you've been playing all night, all of a sudden, like it's almost like a magic wall goes up and all of a sudden you're in the present and you're beholding the legacy in the faces of these, 1,000 audience members or whatever.
Yeah.
And that you did it, that Eliza, like mission accomplished is what it felt like. You
so
you did
good.
it.
Yeah. It just felt like it was
I'm like getting so emotional.
We're all crying right now.
God.
I think like maybe what gets me the most is that her life was so hard. I mean, everybody's lives back then, everybody's lives now. Like
Life is hard.
Yeah.
let me tell you, life is hard. It's beautiful and wonderful, but her journey was quite difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, just technically speaking, you have to find moments of release for yourself if you can, whether it's on stage or off stage, so that you can sort of like process the journey that you're going on, because your body doesn't, your brain knows that it's not real, but your body doesn't know the difference.
That's true. Yeah.
So, like this horrifying tragedy of her losing her son every night is like, it wears on you for the sheer fact that like you're just exerting your body and your adrenaline is like rushing in a way that is not natural.
Well, it's
Yeah.
commensurate with somebody who's losing a son every night.
Yes.
my
Even though your
God,
brain
yeah.
knows that's not what's happening.
Right.
You're kind of as an actor, you are using yourself as a vessel. You're putting yourself through these experiences willingly. You're putting subjecting yourself to these experiences 8 shows a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the imagination is strong, like placebos
Right.
work.
Yeah.
That's
So
right. That's right.
The imagination is very strong.
yeah.
And so I found that also that last moment was just a necessary for me, for Eliza. Like it just felt like it was needed
Yeah.
as well.
Can I tell you the dumbest fucking thing? Even though I have had the privilege of seeing Hamilton so many times in so many different iterations, and I was at home cleaning my bathroom, listening to the original cast recording of Hamilton as I was cleaning my bathroom. I'm miming like I'm scrubbing the bathroom floor. Never in all my viewings had I put together that he had been an orphan and you created an orphanage until that 1 millionth listening to the music. And I was like, oh my, and I burst into tears in my fucking bathroom because I am an idiot. Like, this is why I can't be a dramaturg or a director. It took me so long to be like, oh, he was an orphan and she completed a loop and created a legacy by creating an orphanage.
I'm proud of you.
Rubber gloves.
That's when
Just breaking down on a Sunday afternoon.
That's what sometimes
Eventually she gets there.
your most sparkiest spark file moments happen in your least sparky days.
Most
right.
times.
That's right.
Yes.
God damn. So what's the moral of the story? I'm a ding dong. Camion, you were saying?
In your bathroom.
When I bump into something that inspires me, I dump it in my spark file. Could be something that I wanna make or how I wanna be. I pump it in my spark file. I jump into my spark file. Let's open up the spark file.
That was part 1 of our interview with Phillipa Soo.
Part 2 will be available next week, unless it's the future. Then it's available now, robots.
Go on, give it a listen. Find out what's sparking Pippa these days.
Hi, friends. Susan Blackwell from the Spark File here to let you know that the doors are open for the Spark File Illume, a 9-month group creativity coaching mastermind that invites you to be the chief creative officer and chief marketing officer of your creativity. But what does that mean? That means in 9 months in Illume, you will clarify and advance your big creative goals and learn how to effectively share your work with the world. Now, if you're listening to this and you're an experienced creative or an accomplished professional who seeks a space where it is safe to attempt something you've never tried before, or complete a big creative project, or take your work to the next level and acquire the skills needed to share your creative work with the world, Illume might be right for you. We are calling in emotionally intelligent, high-functioning creatives who are ready to level up. You can find out more by going to thesparkfile.com/Illume, but do it now to find out if Illume is right for you and to save with early bird discounts. That's thesparkfile.com/Illume. Take a leap, take a risk. Go to thesparkfile.com/Illume and join us for Illume.